Hey guys, today I'll be showing another restoration project I've been working on, and this video is also from Mark, who owns this really nice little Moog Opus 3. So Mark, I'm just going to kind of go over it, show you that everything's actually working, the functionality of it. It's just always good to see a final finished product before it heads back home. But took care of all the issues, cleaned the keys, actually took the keys off, washed them, cleaned the chassis, got rid of all the nasty Moog foam, replaced all the commonly failed components that aren't rare, and got everything working like it's supposed to. Full slider cleaning, flushing and lubing, repaired a slider that was broken, just took care of some things that really needed some TLC, and I took care of it for you. But for anybody those that's not familiar with the Opus 3, I'm going to go over it and explain how this thing works and just give you a good little sound demo of it. It's a very, very interesting little, I can't really call it a synthesizer as much as I can an organ or a string machine, because it's really more of that nature. But let me put the camera on the tripod here, and I'll just kind of go over it and give you a little bit more explanation here. But anyways, Mark, one of the issues you had, if you remember, it had a volume problem with the chorus, and it actually turned out to be a bad VCA for the chorus section. So fix the chorus VCA issue, and now you got good volume out of it now. Now, for those that have an Opus 3 and might be curious, the actual volume of the chorus is always quieter than the other two sections. It's just the nature of it. So you pretty much have the level turned all the way to 10 for the most part, and the others you actually mix in. Just kind of how it is. But this thing works a lot different than any other Moog synthesizer or anything else. It's not a polymoog, okay? It's not an MG1, and it's not a Liberation polyphonic section. It's completely different. What this thing uses, it uses something called a gated divider, which is it's a divide down circuit, but it's not anything like the polymoog. What it does, it has a divider per key, but it actually generates footages. So instead of just having one footage, divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, it actually has a set of footages produced per note, like an organ. So I refer to the organ section, even though it's sliders, I refer to them as drawbars, because it works in a very similar architecture here. But what it does is you actually have three sections. You have a string section, which is made up of the chorus. You have the organ section, which is actually made up of the footage ranks. Then you have a brass section, which is made up of a Moog ladder filter. And then, of course, your attack and everything's controlled up here. But this is from the same era of synthesizers, guys. What it actually does is it works in a very similar manner to how a trident, a chord trident works, or even I think the Poly 6 works in a very similar approach, where you have one main tone generator board, and then your sections take footages off that tone generator and use it with different filters and different different approaches of effects, for example. Very similar thing, but a whole different architecture as far as like what's actually generating the tones. So anyways, what we'll do, I'll just start by showing you the sounds. This is with all sections mixed, the strings, the organ, and the brass all mixed together. And as you can hear, it's just got this really lovely sound. It's just great. So as you can hear, it's definitely got that string / organ sound. It's very unique, or very common for this kind of design. Excuse me. But anyways, what we'll do, we'll start with one section here. We'll start with the organ, and I'll kind of go over how this thing actually works here. So the organ, like I say, it's made up of footages. So the footages, we'll start with 16, as you can hear. 8, 4, 2, and 1. So it's actually more of an additive synthesizer than it is subtractive. It has some subtractive areas, but for the most part, what's generating the tone is additive. So that's our tones. And then we got this little this tone control, which is actually just like a brightness control. that's the organ section. That's really it. There's nothing fancy, but what is kind of cool is you have an LFO over here, which you can actually feed into the L film frequency modulation, which is actually modulating the master oscillator, and you get it through the actual dividers. So it sounds like this, and it's got a delay on it. So you got the LFO. You can also put that in VCO, which I'll mention here in a minute. But anyways, that's the organ section. And then what we'll do, we'll go to the string section, which uses the chorus. Now, interesting history for you guys. On the Opus 3, the interface and everything was designed by Herb Deutsch. The internals were designed by Dave Luce. And then also the chorus board was actually not even a Moog product. The chorus is actually using SAD 512s. It's a 3-section Bucket Brigade chorus. Really great chorus, really rare parts. But what they did was Norlin owned Lowry organs at the time. So the chorus board is actually a product of Lowry organs. But it doesn't say Lowry on it, it just says Norlin on the board. And it's a very nice chorus effect. Something that was very popular during this era of Bucket Brigade choruses. Like the Arpsalina, etc. But it's got this really, really nice sound. It's actually got that really Selena kind of approach to the sound too. What's really cool is you have effects of the chorus. You can actually control that chorus board, which is something that you don't really see very often on this kind of stuff. You can actually make it a slow speed, a slow rate of chorus. So right now it's in fast. You can control the depth of the chorus. As you can hear. And then what's interesting about this section is when you get past the chorus, you've actually got your settings here for the audio going into the chorus. So we got these different effects. We can go to 8 footage only. We can go to 4. Or we can go to the mixture of the two. And then you've actually got one stage of a Polymoog resonator, just one section of it. So it sounds like this right here. You got a low pass. You got a band pass. And then you got a high pass. And that's really what you have control of on your actual string section. You've also got a delay for the chorus, which I forgot to mention. So if we put delay on, it actually looks at the delay circuit for the LFO. So we can actually make that chorus have a delay time. Something like that right there. And that's just looking at just the string section. Now what is cool about it is you have a mixer section here as well, which I'll explain after I go over the actual Moog ladder. So first of all, you got the brass section now. And it's actually, you'll notice each of these have their own little mixer section where you can actually, it has stereo outputs, which is really cool because you can pan left to right using these sliders here. and you can actually pan the different sounds to left and right ranges in a mix, which is really cool. But the brass section is just a Moog ladder filter, and it actually has a preset mode, so we'll go to the preset mode first. And what that does, it basically, like anything with Dave Luce design or anything from this era, when you go to preset, it doesn't look at the slider controls anymore. It has a programmed setup, and it's actually supposed to give you a brass response is what it does. So you can kind of hear this. Of course, this works better with mode 1 on the envelope contour. Nothing changes here anymore. When we go to variable mode, now we got the effects of the contour generator and the mode filter. And so you actually got attack, decay, and sustain envelope or contour. We can go. You can actually control how much of the contour you want using the contour mount slider. It's the same thing here. You got the footage changes for the section. So you got a 16 footage, 8 footage, and 4 footage, but you can't mix any of the footages together. It's just 16, 8, or 4. So you get something like that. So when you combine the sections together, something like that right there. And what's also interesting about this whole system is that if you don't want the simple strings for the chorus, you've actually got a mixer. So what we'll do, we'll leave the chorus on, and right now we're still in strings, so when you hear the strings, it's looking at 8 and 4 footage, and it's still got this resonator section going on. But if we slide the slider here over, we can actually make the organ pass through the chorus effects. So we get something like this. And now you've actually got the drawbar effect through your chorus. Filter effects, and then we can go so it's a really neat little machine. At the same time, if you want to use the ladder filter with the organ, I just slid that back to chorus, and now the chorus is back like a normal. It's actually looking at the string section here. But we can also put the organ through the Moog ladder filter, so by using this mixer slider here. Once again. There we go. We'll make the filter modulate. We'll put a modulation on the filter. So you can hear it. It's a really, really cool little machine. But of course you can see it's not really the normal Moog style of product. It's definitely a lot different. But it's also got this really nice little mode for your different contour, the way the contour attacks. For instance, if we go to mode 1 and set up a slow attack, you'll hear the organ come in before the string, so it actually gives you like that Selena. And I'm going to explain the ARP Selena a lot in this thing because there's some similarities in some of the modes of the Selena and this. This is just more flexible. So for instance, we can make the when we're in mode 1 and we set it a slower attack, you'll hear the organ come in pretty fast, and then you'll hear the string ensemble come in later. So it gives you this kind of tone right here. And a slower attack. Something like that. What mode 1 also does, it gives you a reset every time you release a note. So it makes it more playable as well in certain styles of playing you want to do. For instance, if we set up a long sustain in mode 1 and we hold down notes, we'll just go just to the well, we'll leave the organ on too. We're going to turn the brass back on as well. So what you'll hear is when I play notes, and as long as I hold down a note, it's going to just continue sustaining as many notes as I hit, so you get something like this. Like that. If I hit another note and release the notes and reset the keyboard, it'll clean that up, so you get something like this. So you can hear it. If I go to mode 2 on the actual contour generator, you're going to hear that this thing just builds up, and I don't really have control of resetting the envelopes. So you get something like this. So you can hear everything gets really muddy. What this also does is it gives you a nice approach for if you want to play something kind of interesting. So we'll go here and we'll set the filter up. Because I'm actually able to reset the keyboard, I'm able to do these little fast playing approaches, unlike the position 2, which would be like this. It works, but if you want a longer sustain, here it gets really muddy. This also allows for when you want to play notes and release a note and then go to a different chord, it keeps it from being all muddy as well. So we can go. As you can hear. And I still got that long sustain when I left the notes. So it's a really, really ingenious approach of the envelope. It's a really nice thing to have. And also, since this thing is using a VCO for the top octave driver oscillator, you've got a pitch bend. So kind of neat. It's just a really neat little machine, and like I say, it's nothing like any other Moog product. It's kind of got its own characteristics, and it's just a really neat machine. But anyways, Mark, I want to thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to rebuild this thing for you. It's been a real pleasure getting this thing going for you. I always enjoy the Opus 3. I have one myself and I just love it. It's one of those instruments I don't use a whole lot of, but when I need like a Selena sound, I used to have a Selena and I sold it for the exact reason I got an Opus 3, because it's just so light. And I had the early Selena, which was massive, and it weighed like 48 pounds. It was heavy rascal. And this thing here I can just pull out and play it when I want to. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support, and there'll be more videos to come. Take care.